Left alone to care for dogs, I discovered an incredible life-changing connection I never expected. The silence in the house felt like a blanket, heavy and stifling. Sarah stood at the threshold of her daughter Emily's empty room, each toy untouched, each corner echoing the joy that once filled the air. Emily was off at summer camp for the first time, and while she should have been excited for her daughter's grand adventure, Sarah's heart felt like it was being squeezed by a vice. It was a silence she could hardly endure, a sharp reminder of the struggles she faced every day, bills piling up, childcare arrangements to juggle, a dream of a better life slipping further away. Feeling the weight of loneliness creep in, she decided to do anything to fill the void. That's when she thought of Mr. Jenkins, the wealthy retired military veteran next door. With his thick white beard and gruff demeanor, he was an enigma. She remembered hearing about his need for a dog sitter while he had his knee surgery. It could be the perfect solution. She knocked on his door, desperation mingling with hope. "Sure, I could use some help with these rascals," he chuckled, gesturing toward 3 enthusiastic dogs. They bounded over, tongues lolling, tails wagging wildly. Sarah felt a flood of joy and anxiety as chaos erupted around her. She was overwhelmed, diving straight into the clouds of fur and excited barks. But beneath the pandemonium, she felt something stir within her connection. As days turned into a routine, her heart began to lighten. Comet, the golden retriever with an insatiable love for snuggles, was practically glued to her side. His quiet calm mirrored her desire for peace. Daisy, the beagle, often got lost in her own nose, reminding Sarah of her own distracted mind as worries tried to take her captive. And then there was Duke, the aging bulldog, who settled next to her with a heavy sigh that spoke of knowing and acceptance. In her breaks, Mr. Jenkins would drop by. With every story of his military days the friendships forged, the loyalty shared, Sarah found pieces of herself in his words. He'd tell her tales of bravery and honor, of camaraderie that resonated deep within her. She'd chuckle at his dry humor, but each laugh also tightened the knot of inadequacy in her stomach. What did she have to show for her struggles? A pack of dogs and endless bills. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue, but a local fundraising event was just around the corner. A chance to spotlight Mr. Jenkins, recognizing his illustrious past. As excitement brewed within the community, shadows of self-doubt clouded Sarah's mind. Did she matter? Would she ever be seen beyond the struggles? Conflict stirred between her and Mr. Jenkins, misunderstandings fanning the flames of her insecurities. She felt small next to this war hero who filled a room with tales of valor, while all she had were pets and a cluttered home. What if this chance for recognition took her further from him? With emotions raw and vulnerable, Sarah stood at a crossroads, questions lingering in the air. Was the pursuit of applause worth risking the warmth of camaraderie she had so recently cherished? She clenched her fists, uncertain one moment could change everything, her future teetering on the edge of connection and isolation. Who would she choose to be? The air was thick with uncertainty as Sarah stared at the list of volunteers for the fundraising event. Each name represented someone she admired, someone who had made a difference. They were people known for their contributions, their stories of resilience and purpose. And then there was her name, scrawled in unsteady handwriting. Could she really stand among them, celebrated for doing something as simple as watching dogs? Comet nudged her knee, pulling her back to the present. His big brown eyes looked up at her, filled with unconditional love. Somehow, his presence calmed the storm brewing inside her. She reached down to scratch behind his ears, the softness of his fur reminding her of all the warmth she'd been missing. In that moment, she decided she wouldn't let her insecurities dictate her feelings, not anymore. "All right, Comet," she whispered, a smile breaking through. "Let us figure this out." Gathering her courage, Sarah walked over to Mr. Jenkins' house. She knocked, and a moment later, the door swung open. He stood there, his eyes sparkling with that familiar warmth. "Good to see you, Sarah. How are those rascals?" "Better than me, it seems," she replied with a chuckle, trying to mask her worries. She could tell he sensed something was off, that the cheerful armor she wore was slightly cracked. "You know," he began, inviting her in. "I was just thinking about that event. It's more than a fundraiser, it's a celebration of what we've survived and who we've become." As they sat at his cluttered kitchen table, he shared stories of his fellow soldiers, tales of bravery that felt like they belonged in the movies. Sarah listened, captivated, but also painfully aware of her contrasting reality. "I'm not like you," she murmured, her voice small. "I don't have anything that inspiring to share." "But you do," he exclaimed, leaning closer. "You've cared for these dogs, haven't you? In your own way, that's a story of loyalty and love." His words lingered, and for a moment, Sarah glimpsed a path forward. Could she transform her experience with the dogs into something greater? She remembered the comfort they provided her, the small joys in their chaotic world. Maybe, just maybe, she could speak to that. As the day approached, she threw herself into preparations, fueled by a newfound determination. She sat down with Comet, Daisy, and Duke, sharing snippets of her journey with them, as if they were the only audience she needed. Somehow, talking to them made her feel less alone. But the day of the event arrived, and dread curled in her stomach like a snake. Rows of chairs filled with community members glimmered under festive lights. As she stood in the back, her heart raced. Mr. Jenkins took the stage first, his voice strong and steady as he recounted moments from his past. The room erupted in applause, and she felt a twinge of longing. When it was her turn, everything shifted. What if she risked sharing her story? Would they see her as nothing more than a dog-sitter? But then she remembered Duke's heavy sighs, and Daisy's relentless energy, and Comet always ready to comfort. Feeling a strange sense of freedom, she stepped up to the microphone, and silence enveloped her. "Hi, I'm Sarah," she started, but her voice quivered. The truth felt like a weight on her chest. She knew there was no turning back now. As she began to speak, sharing her journey through the dog's companionship, confidence swelled within her. She spoke of how each dog infused a sense of purpose into her days, opening her heart even as she struggled to keep her life together. Finally, she opened up about the loneliness that crept in when Emily was away. Applause erupted again, but this time it felt warm, accepting, and just as hope surged within her, a sudden rustle among the crowd caught her eye. Someone was moving to the front, a familiar face. As they approached, Sarah's heart skipped a beat. It was Emily, standing there wide-eyed, with a huge grin stretching across her face. "Mom. I'm home." Suddenly, Sarah felt the whole world shift. Did this moment hold the key to finally understanding what it meant to connect? Sarah's breath caught in her throat as Emily's voice rang out, echoing through the community hall. The applause faded into a hum, and all she could focus on was the sight of her daughter. Emily's cheeks were flushed, hair slightly tousled, as if she'd just come from some grand adventure. "Emily," Sarah called, the tears pooling in her eyes threatening to spill over. She stepped off the stage like she was moving in slow motion, the world around her blurring with every step. Emily rushed to her, enveloping her in a tight hug, and for a moment everything felt right. The weight of self-doubt lifted, replaced by a warmth that spread through her body like sunshine breaking through clouds. "I can't believe you're here. I thought you had to stay at school longer." "I finished my projects early." Emily beamed. "I wouldn't miss this for the world." As they stood there, lost in each other's arms, Sarah suddenly realized how much she had craved this connection. She had spent so long feeling lost in her own thoughts, wondering what her daughter thought of her. Did she see her as just a dog sitter? Did she understand the emotional journey they were both on? Mr. Jenkins, sensing the moment, stepped aside, giving them space. The other attendees murmured among themselves, smiling at the touching reunion. Sarah pulled back, wiping away a tear before it could make its mark. She looked into Emily's eyes, now more than ever filled with pride and love. "Are you okay?" Emily asked, her expression turning serious with concern. "You seemed a little nervous up there." I was," Sarah admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "But speaking to everyone, sharing my story about the dogs, it was freeing. And seeing you here just makes it that much better. Mom, you were amazing. The way you talked about the dogs, how you found joy in caring for them, even when things were tough. That's inspiring." Emily's words sparked a warmth in Sarah's chest, a feeling she had long forgotten. The validation from her daughter made the fear of inadequacy seem foolish. "Thank you, sweetheart," Sarah replied, her heart swelling. "I just wanted to be honest about everything, and maybe I didn't realize how strong a connection I could find while caring for those dogs." They moved to the side, allowing the next speaker to take the stage, but Sarah could hardly hear a word. The applause faded into muffled sounds, replaced by the rhythm of her own heartbeat. She marveled at how quickly everything had changed. Perhaps she wasn't merely the dog sitter after all. Could she be a beacon of hope for others who felt alone or lost? Emily reached for her hand, squeezing it tightly as she leaned in. "What's next for you, Mom?" "I don't know, but I think this is just the beginning," Sarah said, her voice stronger now. "I've realized that sharing my story might help others. I want to keep doing this. I want to connect, to reach out." "Then let us do it together," Emily offered, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. "You can show them how strong you really are, and I'll be right there with you." The thought filled Sarah with an overwhelming sense of excitement. What if, together, they could inspire others just like they had been inspired? Would the dogs play a role in this journey? As the event continued, she felt a surge of ideas bubbling within her. Suddenly, everything felt possible, and the doubts that had once eclipsed her spirit began to fade, but as the applause echoed and familiar laughter filled the room, Sarah spotted someone in the back, an unexpected stranger with a shadowy figure. The intensity of their gaze sent a shiver down her spine. Who were they, and what did they want? The question lingered in the air, heavy with possibility. What if this person held the key to something that could change everything? It took a moment for Sarah to gather her thoughts, torn between the warmth of her daughter's embrace and the chilling presence of the stranger. The crowd filed in and out of focus as she tried to make sense of it all, her heart rate quickening. Who was this figure? Why did they seem so intent on her? "Mom, are you okay?" Emily's voice pierced through the fog, grounding her again. "Yes, just a little distracted," Sarah replied, forcing a smile as she turned back to her daughter. "Look at all these people. They're here for a reason, and that's bigger than us." But the stranger loomed large in her mind. Tall and cloaked in a black coat, they leaned against the back wall like an ominous shadow in the bright hall. Was there a connection to her? She took a deep breath and focused on the warmth of the moment, the laughter from nearby groups, the sound of clinking cups, the friendly buzz of conversation returning to the hall. "I really want to do something more with my story," she told Emily, her mind racing with possibilities. "Maybe then I won't feel so lost." Emily's eyes sparkled with eagerness. "What do you plan to do?" "I've thought about creating a community group, focusing on connecting people through caring for dogs. It could be like a support network, people helping each other and sharing their experiences." "That's amazing, Mom. I can help you with that." Emily's excitement was infectious, and Sarah felt the weight of her worries slowly lift, but still, unease twined through her thoughts. The figure remained in her periphery, a constant reminder of impending uncertainty. Just then, the crowd erupted in laughter. Sarah turned to see a few kids tugging at a golden retriever, and despite her earlier fears, she couldn't help but smile. "See those kids?" she said, nodding toward the playful chaos. It's all about joy, isn't it? That's what I want to bring to others, what we need. As she began to feel lighter, the figure at the back shifted slightly. Their gaze locked onto her, and a chill raced down her spine again. Mom? Emily's voice wavered, sensing the change in her mother's demeanor. What's wrong? Nothing, nothing. Sarah hesitated, second-guessing herself. How could she worry her daughter at this moment? But the stranger's presence created a ripple of dread that wouldn't dissipate. Let us focus on this, okay? Sure. Emily said enthusiastically, clapping her hands. First, let's make a list of all the things we can do. As they excitedly brainstormed, Sarah's mind felt restless, twirling with ideas and plans for their group. She was determined to make a difference, to foster connections in their community built on love and hope. Yet, she couldn't shake the feeling that the shadowy figure was somehow intertwined with this new chapter in her life. Was it merely paranoia? Moments passed as they sketched a plan when her phone vibrated harshly in her pocket. She pulled it out to see an unknown number flashing. Hesitation gripped her fingers as she swiped to answer. Hello? She said, voice trembling. Sarah, a smooth, unfamiliar voice greeted her. We need to talk. It's about the dogs. About everything. A sense of dread washed over her. What could this person possibly know? Who is this? She asked, each word a challenge. Emily looked at her with wide eyes as she felt the change in her mother's energy. We'll meet soon, the voice replied. You'll want to hear what I have to say. Before she could respond, the line went dead. Sarah's heart raced, uncertainty gnawing at her. What was that? Emily asked, her voice urgent. I don't know, Sarah stammered, her thoughts spinning. A wave of determination rushed over her. But I have to figure out what it means. As she glanced back at the assembly hall and felt the warmth of the community around her, she knew this was just the beginning of something significant. But what awaited them around the next corner? What truth lay buried beneath the surface? The question loomed large, and Sarah felt the weight of change pressing in on her. Sarah felt a deep breath hitch in her throat. That voice, it had an edge to it, like a blade hiding behind soft words. She stole another glance behind her, and the figure remained. They hadn't moved, but their presence lingered like the taste of bitter coffee. Mom? Emily nudged her shoulder, breaking her from the spinning thoughts. What are we going to do about the dogs? The question hung in the air, innocent yet profound. It served as a reminder that there were real lives counting on them, and Sarah could feel the excitement bubble up again. Turning back to Emily, she felt that familiar spark of hope reignite. Yes. Let us talk more about our group. We can make a difference. With renewed resolve, they huddled over their notes, scribbling ideas and inspirations. Each suggestion felt lighter than the last, with Emily spouting off names for their group paws for all and canine connections. Their laughter bubbled up, mixing with the surrounding chatter that surrounded them. Noem. Emily squealed suddenly. What if we host an event? Like, get the whole community involved. Her eyes sparkled with enthusiasm, and Sarah couldn't help but be swept along with her daughter's infectious energy. Yes. Sarah beamed. An event where everyone can bring their dogs, share their stories. Maybe we could set up booths for local shelters, but a nagging feeling tugged at her again. What if that call was something more? What if it's a warning? She wished she could banish those thoughts, but the dread lurked just beneath the surface, threatening to overshadow all the good they were building. Mom, are you listening? Emily waved her hand in front of Sarah's face, pulling her back from the precipice of her worries. Sorry, I was just lost in thought again. Taking a deep breath, she tried to shake it off. Let us put together a plan. We can delegate tasks and work on spreading the word. Right. I can make posters. And you can talk to Dad about getting the space, Emily suggested excitedly. Absolutely. Sarah felt a wave of gratefulness flood her. Despite her persistent anxiety, moments like this tethered her, reminding her of the strength that lay within their bond. Just then, the crowd began to thin, and the festive lighting dimmed slightly. As they rounded up their notes, Sarah glanced toward the back again. The figure was gone. A tight knot of unease twisted in her stomach. The stranger had vanished, but a sense of dread lingered, a profound sense that they hadn't seen the last of them. "Hey, let us grab some treats, all right? You deserve a reward for all your amazing ideas." Sarah steered Emily toward the refreshment table, desperate to distract her from the thoughts swirling in her own head. They laughed and shared a few small pastries, sugar-coated delights that warmed them from within. As a soft melody played in the background, Sarah gently nudged her daughter to dance. Emily twirled on the tips of her toes, her laughter buoyant and bright, a tether to the joyful moments of childhood. But just as they started to move, her phone buzzed again. A new message flashed on the screen, and Sarah's heart seized. It was from the unknown number. "Meet me tomorrow. The dog's pasts are intertwined with yours." Don't ignore this, panic surged through her veins. What did they mean? What could she possibly have to do with the past of dogs? She clenched the phone tightly, desperate to push down the growing sense of urgency. "Mom?" Emily's voice pulled her back as she looked at her daughter, who had stopped dancing. "Are you okay?" Sarah struggled to form words, her mind racing through the implications. "We've got something important to figure out." As the music faded into the background, only one thought consumed her: what connection did this stranger hold to her and the dogs? And would she be strong enough to confront it? With that question swirling in her mind, Sarah knew her journey was just beginning. Tomorrow loomed ahead, wrapped in uncertainty, but also in the promise of discovery. What awaited them on the other side? The sun rose the next morning, casting an amber glow through Sarah's kitchen window. The warmth filled the air like a soft embrace, but Sarah felt anything but at peace. She busied herself with the familiar rituals of breakfast, her mind churning with thoughts that danced just out of reach. Emily skipped into the kitchen, her ponytail bouncing. "What were we doing today, Mom? Are we planning our big event?" Her daughter's enthusiasm was infectious, pulling at the corners of Sarah's heart even as worry gnawed at her stomach. "Yes, sweetheart. We will, but there's something I need to deal with first." "What is it?" Emily asked, her brows knitting together in concern. Taking a deep breath, Sarah decided to keep it simple. "Just some adult stuff. I'll be back in a bit. Can you help me get things together for the event in the meantime?" Emily nodded, though Sarah could see the curiosity in her eyes. "Okay. I want to make the posters bright and colorful." "Of course. The brighter, the better," Sarah replied, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. She grabbed her car keys, wishing she could share Emily's enthusiasm, but dread loomed heavier with each step toward the door. When she settled into her car, a jolt of anxiety coursed through her. What if this was all a mistake? The thought of facing the unknown filled her with a sense of impending doom. But before she could second-guess herself, she turned the key in the ignition and drove to the meeting spot, a quaint little cafe nestled on a quiet corner of town. The moment she stepped inside, Sarah's nerves tightened. The chirping chatter was comforting, but her mind drifted back to that stranger. As the smell of fresh coffee wafted through the air, she scanned the tables, searching for anyone who looked like they might possess secrets about barking pasts. "Sarah!" A soft voice called out. She turned to see Jenna, a local dog trainer she'd met at a previous event. Jenna's face was all warmth and kindness, and she hurried over with a bright smile. "Hey! I didn't expect to see you here," Jenna said, her curly hair bouncing with each step. "What's going on?" Just Sarah hesitated. It felt strange to voice her worries out loud. "I received a weird message last night." "What kind of message?" Jenna's eyes widened with concern. "I'm supposed to meet someone who says the dog's pasts are intertwined with mine." The words felt foreign, almost ridiculous. Jenna's expression shifted, her brow furrowing. That's odd. Do you think it's serious? Before Sarah could respond, Jenna's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, her face paling slightly. I've got to take this. Hold on, she said, stepping a few paces away. Sarah watched her, a knot forming in her stomach. Jenna seemed rattled, and that didn't bode well. She picked up her coffee, letting the steam warm her hands while she drifted into thought. Then, the door jingled, a new arrival drawing her attention. A tall figure entered, scanning the room as though searching for someone. Their presence felt commanding yet soft, and Sarah felt her heart rate quicken. Was this the person from the message? She leaned forward, straining to see better. The stranger locked eyes with her, a chill running up her spine. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Mom. Emily's voice broke through the noise as she burst through the cafe door, eyes bright with excitement. Guess what? I brought supplies for our posters. Emily. Sarah's heart raced, relief washing over her to see her daughter unharmed, yet it was quickly tainted with confusion as Emily approached the mysterious figure. Are you here for the dogs? Emily asked brightly. As the stranger's gaze shifted to Emily, a knowing smile spread across their face. Sarah felt a wave of panic rise within her. What was going on, and how deeply were they connected to this looming shadow over their lives? The moment hung heavy in the air, and she braced herself for whatever revelation awaited. Because one thing was for sure, everything was about to change. The stranger bent down to Emily's level and smiled warmly, eyes crinkling at the edges. Sarah barely registered what was happening, her heart hammering in her chest like a caged bird desperate to escape. Hi there. I am Alex, the stranger introduced, voice smooth and inviting. Emily's excitement mirrored the stranger's, but Sarah felt a chill. What if this was bad news? Her mind raced to the unknown implications of this encounter. Are you helping with the dogs? Emily giggled, holding up her colorful markers and papers. Yes. I've heard the event today is going to be really special, Alex replied with a gentle sincerity that struck a chord within Sarah. It was odd, really. There was something so familiar in their demeanor, yet it felt entirely unsettling. Mom, can we help them? Sarah's daughter beamed, her spirit infectious as it always was. But in Sarah's heart, there was a knot tied too tight. Wait a minute, Emily, Sarah interrupted, managing to plant her feet firmly. Can you tell me why you're here? Eyes shifting, Alex straightened up, the smile still etched on their face but carrying a trace of tension. I've been looking for someone, for a long time, they said softly. Someone who might understand the connection between us and the dogs. What do you mean by connection? Sarah's heart ached at the notion. Could it be about more than just dogs? Her instinct screamed that there was depth in these words, something she wasn't fully grasping yet. Alex glanced over at the door, then back at Sarah, their gaze searching. You saw that dog shelter down the street, right? I manage it. The dogs that come through there, they all have stories and some of those stories tie back to you, Sarah. She felt a rush of emotions, a whirlwind of curiosity and fear. Tie back to me? She echoed. But before she could delve deeper, she caught Emily's gaze, bright with hope and innocence, and her resolve strengthened. Yes, Alex continued. You might not remember, but a pause fell over them and the air thickened with unspoken tension. Mom, can we help, please? Emily pulled on her mother's sleeve, her eyes wide. Sarah hesitated, battling a potent mix of desire to protect her daughter and to understand this strange twist of fate. Let's take a step back for a moment. We need to talk about this, she said, lowering her voice slightly. Of course. But first, Emily should understand why dogs can mean so much, Alex replied gently, looking back at her daughter. Okay, Sarah relented, sensing that the moment was demanding to unfold. She needed to know the truth, not just to protect Emily, but because the nagging curiosity was unbearable. What do you mean by our connection? Your past, Alex began, the weight of their words hanging in the air. It intertwines with theirs in ways you can't even begin to imagine. Tension crackled in the quiet cafe. Emily's innocent cheer melted into concern, and Sarah held her breath, the moment stretching infinitely. The stranger's enigmatic presence was electrifying, pulling her closer to the brink of her past. Amidst her swirling thoughts, one intense feeling emerged: life was about to unveil itself in unexpected ways. The revelation could shift everything, and Sarah could hardly wait for the truth to seep through. But before she could press for answers, a loud crash erupted from the back of the cafe, drawing their attention. Both Sarah's and Alex's heads snapped toward the source of the noise, and panic temporarily overwhelmed the room. "Emily, stay close," Sarah commanded, her instincts flaring. The stranger's eyes widened with urgency, heightening the tension. What had just happened? And what secrets lay tangled beneath this chaotic turn of events? As the cafe filled with commotion, Sarah sensed that this was just the beginning of the revelations that would change their lives forever. The cafe erupted into a chorus of startled gasps and hurried footsteps. People scrambled to find the source of the crash, hearts racing in tandem with the jolting energy. Sarah's heart pounded louder than before, a steady drum against her ribcage. She glanced down at Emily, who clung to her side, wide-eyed and trembling. That mixture of confusion and fear mirrored Sarah's own feelings perfectly. "Stay right here, okay?" she whispered, crouching to Emily's level. The girl nodded, her small hand gripping Sarah's tightly. Sarah stood and squared her shoulders, trying to project calm. "Let us see what happened," she said, her voice barely above a murmur as she turned her gaze toward Alex. The stranger's expression had shifted from warmth to a complex mix of concern and determination. With a slow, deliberate step, Alex moved toward the doorway that led to the back of the cafe. "I'll check it out," they said, voice steady despite the tension. Sarah opened her mouth to argue, a mother's instinct kicking in, but something in Alex's eyes silenced her. There was protectiveness there, as if they held pieces of a puzzle that involved not just the dogs, but Sarah too. As Alex slipped past the threshold, Sarah hesitated, her mind racing with what could have contributed to the crash. Was it a fallen chair? Or something more serious? She felt the pull of curiosity edging out her maternal instinct to shield Emily. "Mom, can we go?" Emily asked, her little voice trembling while she tried to peek around Sarah. "Just a moment, sweetheart," she replied, turning to face the crowd. The tension was palpable, whispers and worried glances passed between patrons. "Let us just wait and see what's going on." Seconds felt like hours as Sarah's grip on Emily tightened. Then, from the back, she heard Alex speak. "Everyone, it's okay. Just a small incident with a shelf." The voice, though calming, still carried an underlying urgency. Relief washed over Sarah, but it was short-lived, overshadowed by a rising question: why were they so invested in this? A cacophony of footsteps turned toward the back exit, other patrons beginning to gather around, curious but wary. Sarah felt included in the gathering energy around Alex, a magnetic pull urging her to follow. Just then, Alex re-emerged, a tangle of emotion dancing behind their eyes. In their hands was a small, trembling puppy, no more than a few weeks old, its fur matted and frail. "Is this one of the rescue dogs?" Sarah asked, dread slicing through her. "Yes, found him hiding in the storage," Alex explained hurriedly, crouching down to bring the tiny creature closer to Emily's view. "He's scared and needs someone to show him he's safe." Emily gasped, the fear in her eyes transforming into compassion. "Can we help him, Mom? Please?" A wave of warmth hit Sarah right in the chest, pulling her closer to the tender part of her own heart she had buried for years. This was more than just a puppy needing help, it was an invitation into a world that Sarah had walked away from long ago. The paths of her past, filled with memories of needing to connect, began weaving themselves into the present moment. "Okay," Sarah said softly, swallowing the mixture of anxiety and hope. "Let us help him." As Sarah knelt down beside Emily, Alex handed the puppy over, its small body shaking against Emily's palms. Suddenly, Sarah's thoughts spun. What was this feeling she had? Why did it feel as though the puppy was just the beginning of something deeper, something that could intertwine their lives in breathtaking ways? Then she noticed Alex watching them both, something undeniable flickering in their expression. What else do the dogs need? Sarah asked, emboldened by her daughter's smile and the tiny miracle resting in her hands, but before Alex answered, the cafe door swung open with a gust of wind. A tall man stepped inside, his eyes scanning the room. As their gaze met Alex's, a knowing spark ignited between them. Do you have her? The man asked, urgency radiating from him. For a fleeting moment, time froze. Sarah exchanged worried glances with Emily and then Alex. She had a sinking feeling that this was just the tip of a much larger mystery. What had she unknowingly stepped into? And what did this have to do with her, both past and present? The man's presence sent a ripple through the cafe. Familiar faces turned, eyes wide, a mix of curiosity and unease. Sarah's heart raced, and she held Emily closer. Who was this man? What did he mean by her? Alex's expression shifted again. The warmth that once enveloped them slipped away, replaced by something serious, almost guarded. I don't have her, Alex said firmly, their voice steady but sharp. But we've been taking care of the others. The man clenched his hands, frustration visible on his face. She could be in danger. We need to find her now. Danger. The word hung heavy in the air. Sarah felt the weight of it settle over her, a tense veil stretching between them and the stranger. Emily tilted her head, her innocent curiosity morphing into concern, and Sarah felt her stomach churn. What do you mean? Who is her? Sarah found her voice, each word spilling out with a mix of trepidation and protectiveness. The man turned to Sarah, his eyes searching. You don't understand. There's a dog that needs rescuing, and she's not just any dog. She's special. Special? Emily echoed, her small voice barely a whisper. Yes, he continued, urgency edging his tone. She's part of a breeding program. If she's not found soon, he trailed off, but the unspoken danger lingered. Sarah's thoughts raced. A breeding program? What kind of world was this? But it was Alex who spoke up again, their voice cutting through the tension like a knife. This is not the place to discuss this. We need to gather supplies and plan. Yes. Emily chirped, breaking the heavy atmosphere, buoyed by the thought of helping. Can we save her? The man's expression softened, a flicker of understanding passing between him and the child. If you all are serious about helping, I know where to start. What's your name? Alex asked, a steady determination imbuing their words. Liam, he replied, glancing around the cafe again, as if seeing what lay beyond the walls. I've been searching for her for weeks. The noise surrounding them dimmed, the rest of the cafe a backdrop to the whirlwind of emotions. Sarah exchanged a glance with Alex, then back to Emily, whose excitement was infectious even amid uncertainty. Let us do it, Sarah said suddenly. Empowerment swept through her wherever this journey led. She wanted to be there for Emily. But we need help. Then we'll gather what we need, Alex affirmed, their gaze meeting Sarah's with an understanding that sparked something deep within her. Before they could organize, the cafe door swung open once more. Another person entered this time, a woman with worry etched on her face. Liam. I've been looking everywhere for you. A sudden camaraderie flared between the two as she rushed to his side. You found them? Yes. He exclaimed, relief flooding his voice. They're willing to help. As the woman turned to Sarah and Emily, her eyes sparkled with a mix of hope and fear. You might not realize it, but you're stepping into something big. This isn't just about the dogs anymore, it's about fighting for what's right. The words ripped through Sarah like a cold wind. What did this mean? How deep was this rabbit hole going? But as much as apprehension loomed, a surge of something else bubbled beneath the surface. A connection was forming, a shared mission that felt almost fated. As they gathered around the small group, plans began taking shape. Sarah took Emily's hand and squeezed, feeling her heart beat in rhythm with her daughter's hopes and dreams. "Are you ready?" she asked Emily, searching for reassurance in her daughter's bright eyes. "Yes, Mom. I want to help." Sarah smiled, the warmth of her little girl drawing forth courage from within. But just then, a loud bark erupted from the back of the cafe, breaking the moment. Everyone turned, startled. Liam's eyes widened. That sounds just like her. What had they stumbled upon? And as they moved toward the sound together, would they truly be prepared for what lay ahead? The cafe buzzed with nervous energy as Sarah, Emily, Alex, and Liam moved cautiously toward the source of the barking. Each step echoed the urgency swirling in Sarah's heart. What lay ahead? What had they unwittingly stepped into? As they rounded the corner, they halted, breath caught in their throats. There she was, an adorable, scruffy little dog, her fur a patchwork of browns and whites, wagging her tail as if she had all the joy in the world. But it wasn't merely her cuteness that drew them in, it was the wild sparkle in her eyes, a flicker that suggested she was seeking connection, much like Sarah herself had been for so long. "Lily!" Liam gasped, his voice a mixture of awe and relief. "I can't believe you found her." The dog, now recognizing her name, darted towards him, tail wagging furiously. She jumped into his arms, a whirlwind of fur and energy. Emily let out a squeal of delight. "She's so cute." And for the first time amidst the whirlwind of uncertainty, Sarah felt a wave of warmth wash over her. This little creature had somehow brought them together. Liam carefully set Lily down as Sarah knelt beside her, reaching out to stroke her soft fur. "What a brave girl you are," she murmured, feeling her heart swell with affection. As the dog nuzzled against her hand, Sarah looked up at Liam, Alex, and Emily, who all wore smiles that mirrored her own. It was a powerful connection blooming right before them, a shared triumph, a fleeting moment that reminded them all of the beauty in caring for one another, both human and canine. "Now that we have found Lily," Alex said, their tone turning serious, "we need to make sure she's safe. The reason I wanted to meet you, Sarah, is because the shelter needs more people like you. Your experience with the dogs is invaluable." The words hit Sarah like a bolt of lightning. She had been waiting for a sign all along. Perhaps this was it. She sat back, realization dawning. "I can help," she declared firmly. "Not just with the event, but with the shelter, too. I want to ensure every dog finds a loving home, just like Lily. That's the spirit." Emily clapped, bouncing on the balls of her feet. "We can all be a team." "Yes," Liam confirmed, looking between Emily and Sarah with unwavering hope. "Together, we can build something bigger than ourselves. A community that cares." As they began to formulate a plan, Sarah felt the weight of her self-doubt dissipate. Every moment of despair, every feeling of loneliness suddenly felt less significant. Healing was happening, not just for Lily, but for her and for everyone she stood beside. Hours slipped away in that cafe, laughter intermingling with seriousness as they discussed ideas and roles for the upcoming event. Sarah's spirit soared as she embraced the unity they were creating. With each shared thought, she felt lighter, her heart fuller. Connection was real, and perhaps it wasn't just about the dogs, it was about building a family through this purpose. By the time they wrapped up, the cafe was closing, but their ideas burned bright. "Let us meet again tomorrow," Sarah proposed, looking at each of their eager faces. "We can work on our presentation and get everything in line for the event." As they began to leave, the energy of the day thrummed through the air. Emily grasped Sarah's hand, her expression glowing with determination. "Mom, this is our adventure." "Like a team of superheroes," she chirped. "Exactly," Sarah replied with a smile. "And our first mission is to give the love we all so desperately crave." The afternoon sun cast a warm golden light as they stepped outside, and Sarah's heart swelled with hope. She glanced at Lily, who was now happily trotting along beside them. Life had just opened up in ways she never imagined possible. The shadowy figure from earlier had vanished in the brightness of this moment, replaced by clarity and purpose. As they walked back home, the sense of family and community enveloped them, a promise of what was to come. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, united by their commitment to each other and to all the dogs that needed them. This was just the beginning, and in that moment, as joy spread like ripples in a pond, Sarah realized she was finally whole again. There's a powerful story behind every wagging tail. Don't wait not even one more second. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire and uplift you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others find this journey. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending, because your voice matters. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us spread the love and connection. You need to support this channel by taking your action now.